All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, sharing with you a report that came out on YouTube and on Twitter about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, and it is good news. Some of you guys don't want to hear updates, but a whole lot of other people do. So let's talk about it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and I am doing a public service announcement for those people that are still interested in knowing whether or not the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight is going to happen this year. There's been a report that has been released by a very, very solid channel that gives some details that was shared with them. I'm going to share those details with you. And in short, it looks pretty good. Hopefully it's correct. Cannot vouch for whether it is or whether it's not, but if I know it, I'm going to let you know it. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button so that you can know when we release more videos, which we do on a daily basis. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank y'all very much for your continued support. There is a new way to support the channel. You see a little heart below. It's called a super thanks. If you feel like tipping your hat to the channel, would be greatly appreciated. We don't get a lot of sponsorships. We don't work with boxers behind the scenes. So any support that you guys have that allow the channel to continue is greatly appreciated. So let's get into this. Shout out to YSM Sports Media. Does an excellent job out of the city of Philadelphia. Out of Boise Ennis, does a lot of reporting out of Boise Ennis and JARON Ennis's gym. Definitely subscribe to their channel, growing channel, does really good work. They are reporting on their page through a live stream and also on their Twitter page that sources tell them that fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford is just about done and that it is definitely going to take place this year. And the date they gave was for the November timeframe, and said that you can expect an announcement 6 or 7 weeks before the fight actually takes place. So no announcement should come for a little bit of while, the next couple of weeks, but that the fight is virtually done. Now, a little bit of history. We have heard this before from several different sources. We've heard this from Mike Coppinger, who is the head reporter at ESPN. For boxing at ESPN. We've also heard it more recently from Dan Rayfield, who is also used to be with ESPN and was their head writer for a very long time. Guys that definitely have, inside, access to, information that is released to them usually by different boxing promoters. A lot of what they've said to date has not quite panned out yet, but you do not have, Floyd Mayweather Jr. shooting down the reports anymore. Right. So, that is a little bit of hope to be held out for the fight. The thing is that, nobody really, some people know whether or not the fight is going to happen or the fight's going to happen or not. I'm just kind of sitting back like everybody else and wondering what's going to happen, hoping that the fight does happen. But the longer the year goes without there being an announcement, without, getting any type of real firm thing about it, I kind of get less and less hopeful. But when you do get things out of gyms like Boise Ennis, well, I'm not going to say this guy got it from Boise Ennis or their gym because, guy can go around and have a lot of different, different sources or whatever. Let's just hope. I'm just hoping that this report is correct. Now, as far as, whether or not it can happen in November, there's also a lot of people saying, and, I didn't go and look at all the dates that are available for the fights, but, the longer it goes, the more these different venues are getting held up. Can't say anything about, people were basically talking about in December, the dates being gone for the MGM Grand in November and December. There's only a few dates where they don't already have something set in those venues for those evenings. So that could be a little bit of a sign that, that it may not happen, but that doesn't mean that they can't. Terence Crawford couldn't change his mind. and, say, okay, well, I'll fight in Dallas, Texas, because if they fight in Dallas, Texas, I'm sure that there may, some dates in November or December available on a Saturday in Dallas, where I always thought that fight, should take place. And we'll see we'll see what happens. As far as the fight going, I'm telling you, man, this would absolutely be a great capper to the year, and a fight that really should take place, and something that would just be very, very right in the world of boxing. We've been talking about this fight taking place and who would win the fight for several years now. I think, I don't usually like to do things that are, excessively corny, but say about what boxing fans deserve and what boxing fans don't deserve. But really, I think, it would do a lot for the world of boxing to get this fight going. As far as all the money and all of that stuff, in order for this fight to have been agreed on, you had to have had, Terence Crawford, make some type of concessions about the fight. Right, as far as like whatever amount of guaranteed money he wants to make. There was rumors and conversations of early on in when people were talking about this fight that he'd wanted as much as $20 million for the fight. Obviously, that's not going to be the case if this fight gets made. And if it gets made, then Terence Crawford needs to get a lot of credit for going through and making the fight, because he, of everybody, has probably gotten the most shade thrown at him regarding the negotiations for the fight. For years, people have been saying that Errol Spence was ducking, was ducking, but he's the first guy that jumped out and said, look, I've already agreed to my portion of the fight. The question is whether or not, Terence Crawford is going to agree to it. So if this winds up being the case, Terence Crawford deserves, a lot of credit for getting it done. And again, man, I know there are people out there that are saying, well, we keep talking about this fight, keep talking about this fight, keep talking about the fight. Look, I get a lot of messages on my Instagram. I get a lot of messages on my in my DMs on Twitter. I get a lot of conversations in my live stream where people just want to know what's going on. Is there any new news about it? Because people legitimately want to see this fight. Now, if you're somebody that just doesn't want to hear about it, doesn't want to talk about it, I can understand that as well. But you got to jump off my back about it, because I talk about it every day, whether I want to talk about it or don't want to talk about it. But to be honest, I don't mind talking about it at all, because this is a fight that actually can happen. And I think pressure should keep up and should be continued about making this fight, because what we spend a lot of time talking about a lot of other fights that we know full well cannot take place. You got a lot of conversations with Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney fight. That fight cannot take place for a couple years, if at all. You have conversations about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, just Tyson Fury just throwing stuff out there about that fight. That fight cannot happen. Well, more than likely is not going to happen. That's just fronting from Tyson Fury's case. This particular fight, there's a real chance that it could take place. So talking about it, keeping the pressure out there in the media for fighters to pay attention to it and hopefully work together, I really think is a good thing. But anyway, that's what I think. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.